G'day friends and folks, welcome back to another Q&A session. Now, before I begin, I just really want to quickly bring up that AskFM is getting kind of flooded with questions, and the questions that were asked 4 or 5 months ago are kind of getting forgotten about just because in order for me to even access those questions, I would have to scroll through hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of questions, and to be honest, it's my fault because I let them get this piled up and it's almost impossible to answer all of them at this point. But if you still have a genuine question, just go over to my Twitter and send it to me through there because it's so much easier. That's not to say I'm done with AskFM, but I'm taking questions from both AskFM and Twitter. More likely Twitter because it's easier to manage, but that aside, I do have a bunch of questions to go through today. So, very first question, most and least favorite Dragon Ball Z game. The best Dragon Ball Z game in my opinion, hands down, is the Legacy of Goku series 1, 2, and 3. Maybe not 1, 1 definitely needed some improvements, but Legacy of Goku 2 and Boo's Fury were so good. Aside from that, Attack of the Saiyans was great. I loved Attack of the Saiyans. And there was another game, Revenge of King Piccolo. Revenge of King Piccolo was pretty good. It was a great Dragon Ball game. It was like a side scroll where you just beat people up, but it went through the entire Dragon Ball story. Obviously, I like Xenoverse, I like Budokai Tenkaichi 3, I like Budokai Tenkaichi 2, I like Budokai 3. I actually do like Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. I played it when I was younger, and I mean, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World was the only Dragon Ball Z game aside from Legacy of Goku, that lets you run down Snake Way. And that was such a selling point for me because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become Goku and go through all of his adventures, and part of that experience was running down Snake Way. So I do love Infinite World for doing that, but my least favorite Dragon Ball Z game, honestly, I haven't played a Dragon Ball Z game that I don't like. Obviously, there are Dragon Ball Z games out there that I haven't played that are pretty bad, such as Dragon Ball Z Connect. I haven't played Dragon Ball Z Sagas, but apparently that's pretty bad. There was this one Dragon Ball Z card game for the Nintendo DS called Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. And it wasn't bad, it was just kind of boring, and I'd probably say that's my least favorite Dragon Ball Z game. So thank you to whoever asked that question. Now moving on to a very similar question, which is, what is your favorite video game? So I'm just going to answer this really quickly. I don't have a favorite video game. There are far too many video games out there that I like and enjoy. But as of right now, my favorite game would have to be FIFA. And that's all I'm going to say. Moving on to the next question, which is, do you think that Broly could beat Pycon? In my opinion, Broly is stronger than Cell. Just because when Goku did his Kamehameha wave on Cell, it vaporized his entire upper body. But when he did it on Broly, Broly just walked straight through it. And obviously Pycon took out Cell with one hit. I feel like Broly could do the same thing if he really tried. But when it comes down to it, I think Broly would win. I think that Pycon is equal to a Super Saiyan Goku, if not maybe a little bit stronger. But final answer, I do think that Broly would beat Pycon. So thank you to whoever asked that question. Now moving on to the next question, which is, do you think me trying to set up a Watch Mojo top 10 on the top 10 Dragon Ball YouTubers will surge people making channels devoted to other anime? I really don't understand the question. Do you think me trying to set up a Watch Mojo top 10 on the top 10 Dragon Ball YouTubers will surge people making channels devoted to other anime? Yeah, I'm sorry man, I just can't comprehend what's being said right now. But I do like Watch Mojo, and I do think they put a tremendous amount of work into their top 10s with the research, the editing. It would be a very long process, and the amount of videos they do a day, it's pretty insane. But the top 10 Dragon Ball Z YouTubers, imagine that. Imagine the amount of controversy that would create. Actually, I would love to see that now. I mean, Unreal NT Gaming in number 1, we got bloody Rhymestyle number 2, we got Forever World, doesn't even do Dragon Ball Z videos, number 3. Honestly, if it were to happen, I would say Team 4 Star would be number 1. Every day of the week, Team 4 Star would be number 1. Number 2 would probably be Rhymestyle or Unreal NT Gaming, just because they are the two biggest. I'd probably go with Rhymestyle because he purely does, well, I wouldn't say purely, but he does a lot more Dragon Ball Z content and is focused more around the community. And I think Kwaman actually has a good chance at number 3, making it in the top 3. And all the rest would be a complete mystery. Actually, everyone that's watching this video right now, go over to Watch Mojo's website and suggest a top 10 Dragon Ball Z YouTubers under their top X. But I think I've rambled on long enough, so now moving on to the next question, which is, do you think that Bardock will ever meet Goku again? Well, if Goku were to meet Bardock, it would have to be in Dragon Ball Super. I definitely think it could happen, you know, I'm not just saying that because, yeah, Bardock's cool and I want to see him in Dragon Ball Super. No, I think that Bardock might show up in a flashback, or maybe if they go to hell, the afterlife, and they see Bardock. I don't think Bardock's going to be resurrected, if that's what you're asking. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to turn Super Saiyan either, but I do think we may see him, like I said, in a flashback, along with maybe some other Saiyans. I know it's very, very, very early days in Dragon Ball Super, so we can't tell, but considering Super Saiyan God is such a key plot point, and it requires the energy of Saiyans to achieve that form, I don't know, maybe. It's definitely possible. I'm not ruling out Bardock as much as I'm ruling out Broly. So thank you for that question, man. Now moving on to the next question, which is, when two fighters fuse, does their penis length add up or average out? The simple answer to that question is none of them, because it's not like when they fuse, they double in height. So if they don't double in height, why would their penis double in length? That makes no sense. So thanks for that question, man. Now moving on to the very next question, which is, what will you do when Dragon Ball Z leaves the spotlight? To be honest, I'm not too sure. I plan on doing Dragon Ball Z for as long as I possibly can. If you're asking what I'm going to be doing with my channel maybe 3 years from now when I'm not maybe making Dragon Ball Z videos, because come on, 3 years? But I don't know, I think that's part of the fun, just seeing how stuff plays out. Obviously, I'm gonna work as hard as I possibly can. I'm gonna put as much effort into this as I possibly can, and I'm not going to quit. You see, that's the problem. Too many people these days, they just quit, and that's not gonna be me. But the answer to the question is, we'll see. So thank you for that question, man. Now moving on to the next question, which is, why the fuck don't you answer my questions? I apologize, I am very sorry, but I do recommend you go over to my Twitter and ask me a question on there, because 100% you're guaranteed a g'day. So for the final question of today's video, who is the worst Dragon Ball Z YouTuber? The simple answer to that question is none of them. I do realize that there are a bunch of Dragon Ball Z videos on the internet that are pretty fucking stupid, but the way I see it is we're all fans of Dragon Ball Z, and essentially what every Dragon Ball YouTuber does, they just talk about it. I do it, Geekdom does it, everybody does it, right? We all talk about Dragon Ball Z, and that's what we do, because that's all we can do. So if I were to say who the worst Dragon Ball Z YouTuber was, it wouldn't be right, because I'd basically just be criticizing someone for their opinions on the show. So yeah, I will say one thing I can't stand is when people make the same video twice. Like, it's the same topic, and they make it twice. That's all I'm gonna say. That's the only thing I don't really like about this community, but other than that, it's pretty good. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next Dragon Ball Z video.